Hey, WheelSnipeSelly here. We're going to be going over the PM session with tweets. I was only able to capture the AM session till about 12:40-ish. This is kind of where I thought he was going to stop for the day, but we'll kind of pick up and do an interactive Twitter rewind here for the 28th, so Tuesday 28th, February 2023. So we'll kind of start it from here. This is basically where I stopped the first live stream. So if you've seen that, this is going to be part 2. I had a few people asking for me to kind of go through this, so I'm going to go ahead and put this together for you guys. So our next tweet is at 12:46. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pause this right here. So he says he's long from 3992 and he wants the 3996. So this is going to be our buy side. And I'm just going to do a long entry right here. And we're going to have this at 3992. So basically a 4-handle move. I'm assuming stop loss is going to be below here. So, okay. So we have our, and I'll just put a line right here at 3992. And we'll mark this entry. And we'll continue. Our next tweet is at 51. It's right here. Okay, I'm going to pause this. So we want a screenshot here. So we can do, we can just do this partial taken 80% off. And what we're looking for is next objective. I'll just copy this. And we want 4,003.75. I'll just put this as target 2. And then so you guys can screenshot this and we'll continue on. Our next tweet is at 53. I'm going to remove this. I don't think we need to see that anymore. Okay, I'm going to pause this. He says screenshot here. So another partial. So if we go to 4,000 right here, I'm just going to do partial 2, partial number 2. And just looking back at where it looks like this, we have a volume imbalance here. And this next target is these relative equal highs. So just kind of zooming out so we can see what's going on. So partial 2 taken. This could be a screenshot here. Our next tweet is at 54, which is just the next candle. I'll get that one ready. Okay, I'll pause this. So he says stop loss at 3994. So we'll make this red. And this is stop loss. Put this at the bottom. Okay. And then so it basically saying this, this basically closes the long position for the day. So we will continue. Next tweet is at 1304. So we got a little bit of ways to go. We'll let this kind of play out so that you guys can kind of see the price action. It's not like the live, but you can at least kind of see the candles paint. So we already moved this above break even, and just kind of looking at the structure here. We took out the high, we basically came back into this order block here, and then once these three down candles here, this looks like an order block to me. So once we pushed above this close, that was basically the entry that he took. And you can see that this down candle supported this right here, that push up. So let me get this next tweet ready. It's 1304. Okay, we'll pause this. And he says, can you see the buy stops at 4,003, which basically this is just relative highs that I just showed. So I would not feel safe with my stop here if I was short. So we'll continue on. Our next one is at 1324. I know that the morning session, you can just see how choppy that was. That's definitely hard to try and navigate. This green block here, this is our new week opening gap. For those of you want to know, there's a new week opening gap, new day opening gap by cryptonnnite. So I just started kind of using this. Here are my settings, but it just kind of plots it for me. It's kind of nice. Then I also have this ICT Everything, and I have it marking midnight, New York open. So you can see it marks New York and then what the price was at midnight. Just kind of saves me a little bit of time, but beyond that, I'm not really using any indicators. You can have like a label. You can have it if you want to have your bias in the bottom right to make sure that you're on side. So for the week, we were basically bullish on dollar, bearish on ES. So you can have that there. It's kind of nifty. And then I have some notes up here just so that, I'm looking for a swing high, low, take in market structure shift, fair value gap, 5-handle target. So just some cool little indicators, just filling some time while we're waiting. And again, it was new week opening gap, new day opening gap cryptonnnite, and then the ICT Everything. Let's see if I can, right here, and then this one. And I just basically use it to mark out those for me. This is that new week opening gap here. All right, so we have basically had like a little bit of a retracement. So looks like we went into this fair value gap right here and stopped. ICT didn't really call this out, but I'm just going to mark it as this is what I'm seeing. And then so we had 2 candles here. We just broke a swing high. We have another fair value gap here. And then here we get the tweet. So buy stops. He's basically calling this level again. And we will continue. Next one is at 1328. And so he's basically calling out that fair value gap via tweet, which I already had it highlighted. Just something that I noticed before. The next one is 1341. Looks like we just kind of stopped short of the target. Trades back down into this fair value gap. So next tweet, 41. And for those of you wondering, I just have these in an Excel. And I'm just clicking these. It gives me a link. And I'm just pasting this in. So that's kind of how I'm doing this. I just have this on the side here. This is basically where we stopped, where I stopped the live stream. And then I had to hop on a couple meetings, so I wasn't able to continue doing the live stream, but I had a few people ask for this, so I'm happy to put this together for you guys. Okay, so he's basically just saying extend it over to the right, which we already have. Our next one's at 46. And we're going to hop over to the dollar chart on this one so we can kind of show what's going on there. So we're still, we have this fair value gap here that it could come down into, but we wouldn't want that in, before this target's reached. Okay, so we'll pause it here. So it says dollar rallying while ES is muscling higher, has me thinking that the 4037 4003.75 stops are bagged. we might see a sell-off. So let's go over to dollar. And so basically here we are. I'll move this out of the way. This is basically what we're seeing here. And you can see that we have high of the day. I mean, this looks like bullish market structure for me, you know, if I'm just looking at this at this point. So it could, you know, retrace down into this, but it just took out this sell stop right here and reversed higher. So it's kind of already purged sell side. So I would, you know, think that this would continue up higher. So let's go back to ES and we'll continue. Our next tweet is at 59. Got a little volume imbalance here. I'll get this tweet ready. So we're kind of just bouncing around in here up until it wants to try and take this 4,375. So we just dipped down into this other fair value gap here. And we have another one here that I'm just going to note. If we're looking at the dealing range, this is 50% here of this price leg. High, low. I have another volume imbalance right here. Just kind of watching. So basically he's just saying extend this over to the right, which we have. Our next tweet is at 1406. See, it came down and hit that bottom of that fair value gap right to the tick. That was nice. You see the bodies stayed in the top half of this fair value gap. And then we came down and touched the top of this fair value gap right here. Okay, so basically we were stopped out here. We had two partials taken, 1, 2. So if we were in with like, 5 contracts, we would have just been stopped out with a profit because this was our entry. So this is, even though we didn't make it to the target, this is still a win in my book. 1407. He's just saying that today is one of the records. If I had to list top 5 hardest days, it would easily make it in the top 3. He's just saying here he feels like the market's broken. And 1410 is our next one. So I'll pause this. And so dollar still no aid in today's action, everything running on their own. And that decoupling is what makes it harder than normal. Tradable still clearly, but harder nonetheless. So this is basically what we're seeing here at this time. And we'll go back to yes. And our next tweet is at 14:11, which is our next candle. Okay, so I would use this drop in ES to induce more shorts, build more stops above 4,375, and then run it back on them. So we did basically fill in this fair value gap here that I had outlined. So this is all rebalanced now. And just looking at this, like I see an order block right here, these 3 down candles. So let's pause this. 13. Saying, well, I walked you through 2 10-handle price runs, real time, and slogged around in the early mud too. We played the cards that were dealt. And our next one is at 14:17. So we got a few candles. We'll let it go. So he's just saying here, I have to stop making my stop public because it basically ran right to where he had to stop to. And again, our next one is at 19. So see where it is right now? It should be dropping sharply here. And then next minute, we have, if it doesn't, this is your sign. They aren't done running down the buy stops. Our next one's at 40.33. So we got a little bit of time. We got a volume imbalance here, along with another order block where it stopped. Just kind of putting around in here. So we just took out these relative equal lows. We do have a fair value gap here. So what I wanted to see was high of day cleared, even if by one tick with dollar rallying, it would give me a short to play at the high of the day. So our next one's at 36, and we're going to flip to the daily chart. We do have sell stops right here, these relative equal lows. See if it comes down and purges that. Okay, so the next tweet is on dollar, and it basically says, daily chart reminder, dollar bullish with unfinished business, and we have left high of the day in place. Final hour sell program likely. So if we look at the daily over here in the left in this little corner here, so we came down, took sell side, and then started rallying back up. And then you can see this is the high of the day that is left intact. So, yeah. I mean, this looks like the market model buy program where it should take out the high. So let's go back to ES. And our next one's at 37. We'll just hit play. And so it says, if it rallied up to new high of day from here, that would cause me to question my daily conviction. So next one is at 43. Right now I'm looking at these relative equal lows, sell stops here. So he's saying 240 fair value gap, which is this little guy right here. All right, our next one is at 43. Got that. 47. Okay, so pause it here. I want to see it get under this fair value gap. So this is BR bearish. And then we look for a setup because we haven't tagged these yet and dollar is rallying. The next one's at 48. I'll get that one ready. Then he says that was more qualifying for a retest of high of day though. So let's see what his next one's at 49. We'll pause this. He's saying 247 fair value gap. I will probe a long entry here and if there's no mercy for bears today. So right here, long entry. And then at 51, I'll pause it. He says, so entry at 3994. So at the bottom of this, this is going to be our entry. And then we'll do a stop at 3991.5. And we'll continue. Our next one is at 52. All right, so this was a stop out. And he basically said if I stop out, it's still up for the day. And next one is at 1453. We'll continue. And he basically says, you know, I'll take this as a sign to stop and resume with you all in the morning. Sick as a dog, but had fun. Our next one is at 1454. Find a short into the 3 a.m. lows. Let me pause this, show you where that is. 3 a.m. lows is going to be right here. I'll just put a that's a 3 a.m. low right there, that red line. And we'll continue. Next one is at 1500. So we just took these sell stops right here, which is what I was eyeing while we kind of came down to here. So he says, in chess, sometimes you sacrifice a pawn to take down a king. $15.01. We have a new tweet here. So he's saying, new week opening gap, ran through it, 39.82 next downside. So 39.82 right here, which is basically this low here. I'll mark it. And we'll continue. $15.02. He's just saying note the time. I'll take these off. $15.04. He's just saying 11 minutes, and he's referring to the end of the day macro. So 15:15 to 15:45. And at 15:05, he mentions basically what I just showed. 3:15 to 3:45. And this is our end of the day, 1600. Our next one is at 15:16. I'm going to make this a different style. The dotted lines are our time frame. This is for my tweet. in this tweet, he basically meant to type 240. Okay, we'll pause this. So this is the 240 fair value gap. All right. And then so basically he's saying a short from this fair value gap to where we are now. And we'll continue. All right, so he's basically asking us where a sell side. We have sell side here and in this area. Okay. This next one's at 26. So in this, I'm assuming that what he's saying here is that we had a short once it ran back up into here. Entry. And then we would do a stop, just put it above the high, or right at the high. We'll continue. Okay, so basically screenshot here. We'll pause this. Let's do a short. There's your 10 handle run from this fair value gap here. Stop to break even. 3,992. And then next objective is the new week opening gap high, 39.7650 right here. We'll continue. So 35 is the next tweet. Okay, we'll pause it. So I can screenshot this here. Stop loss at 39.88.5. And then we will 39.76.50 was booked. And then we'll continue on. Our next one's at 48. And he said this could be partial, 50% remaining. And we have our stop at still at 88.50. And right here, this is the 3 a.m. lows right here. So it's a 16 handle move. This basically takes us to the end of that macro. To just trade into a volume imbalance. And then reject it from that. So might be asking too much of ES in here for 3 a.m. lows with the time. So just that time remaining. 16 handles down from 240 is good eating. So it looks like he moved his stop loss down to 39.81.50 and was saying that he was stopped out. So you can screenshot that as well. And then our last tweet of the day is going to be at 16:12. We'll speed it up. And so basically it did end up hitting that last minute. It pushed down through. So 10 contracts at sold short at 992. Then he said 5 contracts at 39.89.25 right here. And then he has a recording, so we'll I'll show that next, and we'll kind of walk through it. All right, so here we are with his execution replay. So you can see he has 15 contracts short. He has those fair value gaps highlighted. And so he moved his stop loss down to 39.91. We just went through that previous week. New week opening gap. He shorted 5 more. And so we're looking for that 39.82. So here's his first. He took 5 off there. And stop was moved down to 39.88.5. And we took another 5 off at the new week opening gap high, 39.7650. And so yeah, it looks like he entered. He didn't enter at that fair value gap, but that would have been an entry. So I think he entered right around 39.90. And he moved the stop down to 39.8150 and was tagged out. So anyways, thanks for watching.